Oh, let me guess. FanDuel DraftKings is not loading on a Thursday night because of major volume in the greater Philadelphia area. But we're
No, no.
live. We're live here on a Thursday night, boys. And who would have thought the Phillies would have been given us this opportunity? And then the Eagles are sitting here with an undefeated record. So, like, what a blessing and a curse at the same time that, like, we're dealt this hand.
I mean, it's fun times. What a night.
It's fun times.
I mean,
Great
who
to
would've
be in
thought
Philadelphia.
Eagles and Phillies on a World Series night back to back here. It's great.
Well,
Unbelievable.
Mike, what's in the cup tonight?
I've been destroying this Chairman Select. It's called like Ballard Estates or something. It's a Malbec from Argentina. They're charging like $9.99 for this thing. They could easily be getting away with charging 30 pop. No problem.
That sounds like
No problem. So there's actually funny story before we get into sports. This lady, I told you this. I've been peppering this Westchester Wine and Spirits on the way home at least 2 times a week, more times than not 3. Every time I see her, she's like, "Oh, have you had that one yet? It's delicious." And I'm like, "Lady, I've had like 50 of them by now." I'm like, "I'm the reason you got to keep restocking it."
Right.
So
Here
here
we
we are.
are.
Boys, what's our initial thought on the evening? Both sports.
I'm going to start first. Eagles, I'm anticipating a slow start.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say almost like a very slow start for the Birds, down 7-0 for the first quarter, or even like a 3-0 or 3-3. I don't think there's much going on in that game. I just don't think there's much buzz. I don't even want to look at the line, but if I were to do it, I'd take the plus 14 and the under and just parlay both of them, which is what I did. That's why I'm kind of biased. But hopefully they come out on top, man. I couldn't imagine them losing tonight. I just don't think it's going to be a scripted game on the Eagles front.
Well, I mean, I'll say I did a little homework on the Birds game, and if we're looking at it just betting wise, I'm already in with Matt. Like the 14, like it's more of a fading the public and the big spread there with the Birds. I don't know if they're going to get off their slow start. I don't know if they're going to cover 14 points, but I mean, I just see how much liability there is on that line, and that's why I think it's a Texans play under as well. Like that too, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm looking forward to tonight, Matt or Mike, is the bats. Like I need the bats to come alive tonight. I need to get some hits. Like I need some sustained offense out of this Phil's team tonight to get it going and keep us alive tonight.
Real quick before we touch on Game 5, everything lines up against the Eagles. Like you should bet the Texans, but the Eagles are that one weird team that like they've been in so many different trap spots and they still beat the dog shit out of everybody. So I just want to totally stay away from that one and not even think about it. There's a couple props we'll touch on, a couple guys that we all feel are going to have a good night in an ugly dog fight. But let's talk, who do we think's getting hits tonight? I think it's got to be. Why were they saying that the fans didn't show up last night? I didn't see any fans in the lineup. What are they talking about?
Yeah, there's not much to cheer about there.
No fans got any at bats last night. They didn't get I mean, there was
there's nothing to get crazy about, And then by the time all the runs got on the board, it was a little bit wind out of the sails, really, and
then it became no hitter watch, and then
that was a shame. I mean, that guy has a crazy low ERA.
I mean,
Verlander tonight,
dude, but Verlander tonight, and you look at the line on Astros money line, Verlander tonight versus dog shit, and it's literally begging you to take the Astros. I feel like I don't know because I don't follow baseball strong enough. All I know is after watching the Phillies this postseason and looking at the lines, they overvalue Nola way too much every time he steps on the mound in a big game. It's the only thing I learned about the way the books treat the Phillies and Aaron Nola. He's overvalued.
I think I heard that right before the game they said that that team hitting right-handed pitchers is totally different numbers. So I think that's why they caught him in the earlier game, and they caught him again last night. It's just a different angle. It's a different ball. He threw 2 bad pitches that ended up being like RBI singles and the 1 double, and the reporters talked about it, and the catcher was lined up way inside, and it ended up sneaking right over the plate. So I don't want to blame him on all of it, but he definitely didn't help.
No, absolutely. How could you blame him? Because even if he lets up 1 run, they still lose.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. Like whether you let up 50 or 1 in that situation, they didn't get a hit. So what the fuck's the difference to me?
Right.
I'm not blaming him at all. I thought he had a decent game. I don't know shit about baseball, but from what I've learned over the course of the last couple weeks is I thought he threw a few good pitches. I'm going to tell you what, though, that 100-mile-an-hour steamer, you first pitch, you come into the game, bases juice, no outs, and you just hit him right in the kidney. If you're going to hit him somewhere, you might as well hit him in the kidney.
That was definitely not a wild pitch, man. That was planned. That was cheeky. I liked it, though. It was big-time hitters. Like, I'd rather not face him. The bases juice,
You could hear the thud. Like, when he was walking to first, he was like, I don't know if I really wanted to get here that bad.
Yeah, he woke up a little sore this morning getting out of bed there.
Oh, hell yeah. And he was just running on straight adrenaline with that first pitch. He had everything behind it. They didn't even put it on the radar. That was a $115.
Oh, man. But you're right, Rob. If they want to win tonight, they got to hit. Obviously, that's the name of the game. That's how they got here, was hitting. They didn't do it last night. Big comeback night. I like the over in this one. I don't even care what the number is. It could be 9, 10. I just think if it's going to be a good game, which we think it will be, the fans will be up. They need to be up. And I don't think they're going to start out slow. So I think that's my play tonight.
I'm coming. Yeah, official play on the money line in terms of Mike, we're not handicapping baseball. And at the same time, we have made some money on the fills. We just haven't put enough of it out there, but we have made some serious cash flow in this run. So, and I like the way the market looks tonight. I think there's a lot of big money on the fills money line. I think there's value at plus 135. Took them on the money line. I don't see as much of a differentiation of value on the total, but I'm going to let Matt have that one down for the over. Because like you said about the bats and the hitting, they got to get it going tonight, because now, Mike, we've been on Nola about that 5th gear and whether he has that in these situations, and I think post game made the comment last night whether or not he's just worn out overall in the season, whether he's reached a limit and just in terms of innings, pitches, whatever. To get to this point, right, and what you've counted on him and Wheeler to do, maybe there's a little bit of that, but now you are where you are, where it's all hands on deck, and it has been now for some time. You need the bats to come through, to stay alive in this thing. So that's what we're banking on at the bank tonight.
Yep.
Go ahead, Matt.
No, I was thinking yesterday. I was just right before game time, and there was a lot of hype, and 7-0, 5 home runs. I was like, this one's going Astros, and this is going game 6 or 7. I just had a really, really good feeling about that. I still think it's if they win this one, we're looking hopefully at a game 7, we would assume, but hopefully a game 6, really. But I think it's going to go game 7. They're making a lot of money on these events.
Yeah.
I think it's all about the money when it comes down to these big games. And who doesn't want to see a great game tonight and a great game when they go back to Houston?
We've talked about it. Baseball needs a fan base like the Phillies, like the Yankees, like the Mets. They need these fan bases like the Red Sox involved in the World Series every year, because you don't only watch the game. I don't care if you're a Philadelphia hater or you love them. You can't tell me that the clips that you've seen, you haven't gotten chills from. Dude, the bank, when it's rocking, they're measuring seismic level shit miles away.
Yeah.
You can't tell me nothing about the bank, bro. That place goes berserk. And I tell you, if the crowd gets involved, they get the bats going early.
Did you hear they had Penn State Brandywine? They had
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's
measuring an earthquake from the bank.
30 miles away.
30 miles away measuring quakes.
That's
How
not
you
happening.
doing? You don't find that shit
Yeah.
in Houston.
No, Minute Maid doesn't have that problem. I don't think.
No.
When we saw game 1 and 2. No.
Somebody I'm looking for, and I'm gonna tie this play into both games. Bryson Stott. We need a hit out of Bryson Stott. He's been quiet this World Series.
Yep.
Everybody's been hyping him up, and as soon as they're gonna bring my man down, I think he's ready to pick himself back up.
Yeah. I've been all over him, Mike. He works the count. He works the pitcher's count. He fouls a lot of stuff off. He makes them throw a good ball. I think he's due. I'm with you. Home run, we hope, right? But we'll take a hit or two out of him, man. He's due.
Hell yeah.
I just think that that last night was a gut shot for the entire team, and that's I think what they needed after that Tuesday night game. So I'm excited, man. I'm fired up. I can't wait to watch this game.
Dude, I can't wait. Rob, we talked about this while you were in Philadelphia traffic because you're a lunatic and want to leave New Jersey at 4:30 during the World Series.
Game 5. Yeah.
You knew better than that.
Yeah.
So we talked about how the boys were talking about getting a no-hitter against them. Where the night before, they're the South Philly Bombers, and they can do no wrong. And then last night, it's like, oh, are you guys ready for the moment? Are you guys, like, worried about, like, what's going on? It's like Schwarber said, everybody relax. That dude was dealing. So you got to tip your cap where it's due because that dude was dealing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Because you saw if any Astros pitcher isn't on his game, they're taking him in the backyard. It doesn't even matter how you doing. So this dude in the bank, the last home game of the World Series, he's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders. And Verlander, this is his moment. He hasn't done it yet.
Yeah, I mean, you got so much going on. Yeah. First of all, Kyle Schwarber as a team leader, clubhouse guy, and what he's done, I guess it's especially in this World Series and, within big moments in the playoffs, like, yeah, I mean, I think that's been key to this team and driving this team. And I'm sure you're right. Like he was the guy last night talking to this team on how they're going to approach tonight. I don't know. Obviously we're all watching every pitch now, right? You're in the World Series. So I didn't think that there was anything wrong with their approach. Like if they were, whether it was swinging at bad pitches or, look at things like, I thought they were working counts, well, and I thought at one point, they eventually got him out, by the 6th inning, I think, right?
Yep.
But, so I think they're going to do the same thing. I think it's just, I don't know what approach you change. I think you just kind of go, like you said, you just kind of turn it over and go out there and night. I mean, think about it. Like this is if you want to know about this is the definition of, this is the epitome, right, of the Philadelphia Phillies franchise and its history, right? Record tying 5 home runs one night, 7-0 win. Next night, first ever combined no-hitter in World Series history. Like, right. The Phillies are historic when they win, when they lose. That's just who they are. So,
yep.
We're still along for the ride. I still love them tonight. Again, you mentioned the Verlander thing. Like everybody knows Verlander's trends in the World Series, right? You think, or do we count on him to reverse that at the fucking bank?
Right.
What matters the most.
I was just thinking that because Nola and Verlander, they both are the top guys on both teams, and they're both getting shelled right now, or at least they were the first games, right? So I think this one's going to be interesting here. I think everyone's on Verlander just as like a comeback game, but I think a lot of the Philadelphian fans were on the pitcher last night. Why am I blanking on his name?
Nola,
yeah. Everyone was on Nola last night. And he didn't show up. So I'm hoping that he keeps the trend in the playoffs and the World Series. And I hope the Phils, Rob, with the hat, man, you're firing me up. I think we can do it here.
They're not going down looking. Those dudes swing. And I love that. It's like, at least put your bat over the plate.
Right.
There's something about it. And bro, is it just me or do they all swing violently? They all swing.
They do.
Dude, the chiropractor working for the Philadelphia Phillies is probably the wealthiest man in Philadelphia this year. Their backs have to be in shambles. They all swing like they're trying to murder somebody. and I love it.
Schwarber, man. Schwarber swings like he's at the boardwalk axe.
Yeah. He's trying to smash watermelons. How you doing?
Which I love to see, man. And I love that they're attacking it. And if they can get on base, of course, I think that the bats will rally. I think it's going to be a great game. I think this is the game of obviously the series. This is going to mean a lot for both teams. But I would love for a nice win here and then head down away from home.
And then just get one in Houston.
Yeah.
I didn't like today. I was hearing the narrative of they had the opportunity to close it out in Philadelphia. It's like, who thought the Astros were going to roll over? I don't know why you thought that. I don't even know baseball.
You can yell at me. Yeah, I mean, just like
I'll yell at you off air.
Yeah, we can deal with that later.
Yeah, we'll deal with that later. To me, it's like
7.5 to 1, 4 to 1. So we took a shot.
No, take a shot at it. Take a shot at it. Take a shot in the dark.
They hadn't lost at home.
Right.
Okay, so let's get into the thick of it. Who do we think's hitting a jack tonight? You can pick from any of them because they all can go yard.
Yeah.
Give me a name.
Well, you said Stott. That's your boy tonight,
dude. I'm on Stott and Scott tonight.
Scott's getting in the Boston Scott
in the end zone.
That sounds like some kind of a professional liability firm or something.
Like Conley Hockey.
Honestly, predicting this one, obviously you can't, but I'm seeing a lot of hits. I'm not seeing many homers. But I would love for Stott to do it, man. I'm all over him as well. I just think it's going to be a chip away game. It's going to be like a run here, run there, 2 runs here, 1 run there. I think it's just going to be a back and forth battle. Not to say there's not going to be any home runs, but who do you want to pick on from the Phillies and who do you want to pick on from the Astros? Yeah. Harper's 50-50 shot, which never happens, right? Schwarber's biggest game this year, he shows up in big games, and I think he could pop one. I think Hoskins is also, seeing it really well, and if they do win, I could see him being the MVP if he does continue to hit home runs with the series how he's been doing. I think if he gets one tonight,
that's an interesting live future bet to put on.
Yeah,
Rhys Hoskins. I'd be interested to see what that number is.
Right.
All right. So, who do we like to get in the end zone? I don't know how many times boys are going to get in the end zone tonight.
I know. I think it's 1 or 2, maybe 3. I went with Devontae.
Matt mentioned we both just based on what we're looking at, like from the betting side, like if this is going to be an ugly game, I think whether this is going to be an ugly game or whether this is a rout on the Eagles' favor, I think you can count on the run game either way, right? Like being and then using, again, like if it's going to be tough. Or if it's good and they need to find things that work tonight, or if it is a route, right? I think you're going to get a mix in that backfield. So I like the idea of taking a Boston Scott, Kenny Gainwell.
Yep.
I think Miles Sanders, very much will get his, and you would expect him to, in this game. But again, whether that doesn't happen and they need to, figure something out, or if it is happening and they again need to share on either side of that game flow, I think you got some value there with the other running backs.
I'm with you on that, Rob. I'm also, I've noticed with the Birds when they really, like from a receiver standpoint, when Devontae has a good game, the main guy, when Devontae has a good game, AJ has a great game the next one, and then I think it flip flops, and that's where I'm aiming. He has 3 touchdowns last week. I'm flipping to the other side of the field. I'm going with the other receiver. Everyone's on AJ, right? And I'm thinking it's the other way around. But I'm with you on that, Rob. I could see any of those 3 running backs getting into the end zone to start, or even Hurts. Can't forget about him, man.
You combo if you're really feeling funky, and I'm not because I already got 2 plays out there. We'll make it official on each side for each game tonight. But you combo Hurts with one of the, like either Scott or Gainwell. That would make it, a little spicy. But otherwise, that's what I would like for touchdowns.
The issue with betting the Eagles touchdown scores is they're so good at making you guess what they're going to do
Yep.
when they're in the red zone. It is very hard to defend. And I'm not a big Tony Romo fan, but like he was calling it pretty well, where he was like, dude, like this is a genius play. He was like, there's no way you can cover all the ends, and they're going for it on fourth down, read option. So they have 3 options.
Mm-hmm.
And they're rolling Goddard. It's just they're dangerous. I like Scott. Matt, I'm with you on the Devontae Smith thing too. Tick for tack.
Right. He gets his. The other guy gets his. Right.
2 number 1 wide receivers.
Right.
So side story. My official timeout, I guess. Last week went to the Steelers game, caught the Birds for the first time live, and I have to say, look even better in person than they do on TV. I had just as much fun watching that defense play out there last week than I did the offense. But with the touchdowns that AJ Brown, in particular, I know Mike, I was talking to you about this earlier in the week. That second and third touchdown in particular were lined up directly behind Jalen Hurts in the stadium, and he's thrown to the opposing end zone corner. And I just, the throws that he was putting there to AJ Brown, particularly that second one on a rope, like straight to the corner of the end zone. I don't know. I just, haven't seen anybody sling it like that, live at the stadium in a while. So,
Rob, that's a college throw, man. That's a fade ball. You trust the guy.
Well, you got the guy, right? So
yeah,
he's doing his part, and
he knew him. He knows them. He knows both of them, right? So I think the chemistry there is incredible. For
who's responsible for setting that up, right?
Right,
Mr. GM of the decade himself.
Finally did something, right?
Well.
For whatever reason, between Philly Rob and Howie, like people, they're just pressing the right buttons right now. I guess they got the right brand of coffee. Mike finally maybe got through somewhere, but like to one of these to get something in these guys to get start like hitting the right calls here, because it seems like they're clicking here both teams. So I hopefully let's get it keep it going. Nice.
I'm with you.
Yeah. But you're right, Mike. They have a lot of weaponry. I don't see them losing tonight. Of course, as a Philly fan, I would never say I think they're going to lose, but I just think that this could be a slow start and then a little, go up by 20, get backdoored, on the cover. But it's hard to pick who's going to score first on the Eagles or who's going to score anytime on the Eagles, because it can be one of 9 guys, getting into the end zone.
So many weapons. I see this kind of transpiring the same way last week's game with the Texans and Titans did, where it's ugly early, and then the Titans are like, all right, everybody relax. We're the better football team. Punch them in the mouth, and they're going to go away.
Yep.
I kind of see that happening where it's early. Everybody's talking about, oh, the Texans are in this football game. But when the Eagles defense buckles down a couple drives, the Eagles offense kills the clock, runs it down their throat, punches 1 or 2 in. It's like you can't keep up with whatever pace we want to run this game as. Like we have it covered on all facets. But at the same time, like boys, can you count them out? Because nobody even still thinks that they're the best or second best football team in the NFL, and they're undefeated this far in the season.
Yeah, I just don't think they've fought enough adversity on like a top-ranked team. They do have a super easy schedule, if we can all admit that, I think, and not super easy, it's just easier than most. The Bills played like top 10 teams 3 times already, and they lost to 1, beat the other 2, right? It's like, the Giants beat the Ravens. I don't think anyone saw that coming, but could the Birds go, into Baltimore? God forbid that ended up like that, but could they finish them, right? And Mike, we talked the first time we came on here about the San Fran team. It's just beat them down, roll out for a 30-yard gain, right? They run a similar scheme to the Eagles, where it's like, hey, you can't beat us just in one side. You got to beat us in all sides of the game. I think they look good from a like the side of the league standpoint. But if they play the Bills, who knows how that game? It's just like
the Bills are scary, bro.
Right.
But at the end of the day, too, no matter what happens in this football game, this isn't a game that particularly matters to the Eagles, because even with a loss, they're still in first place in the division. They're still in first place in the NFC. You're losing to a AFC team that's out of it. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's
should
all-
you lose? Absolutely not. I'm not making any excuses for him. Like, this is one that you need to win. But at the end of the day, win or lose, it's like, all right, get out of the game healthy is really all that matters at the end of the day. Rob, am I wrong?
No. Listen, I think the Eagles are setting the standard in the NFC, right? Like, it is what it is, and they've played who they played, right? Like the whole like strength of schedule thing. Like we were talking either last week or earlier in the week. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's more of a college thing. Like it's the NFL. Like I just don't think that. I think it's very top heavy, definitely in the NFC. I just think there's a lot of mediocre football being played. But like I said, Eagles are setting standard in the NFC, and I think they've already played their toughest competition. I'm going to go with Dallas. You throw a healthy Dak in there. Maybe there's not a couple interceptions. I don't know how that game goes. But at the same time, you still got to go down to Dallas and see how the Birds look, in Dallas. And, we've been talking about ever since last year about how it went, last time they went down there. So that's going to be, another check mark for Jalen Hurts, right? Like it doesn't, how it's going to go here, right? It's not going to matter what he's done until he gets to Dallas and we see how he plays in Dallas against Cowboys, right? And there's definitely going to be seeding and maybe even the division on the line there. So I think they're, I'll give you the Niners, Matt, as being, I think they're going to be a tough out. I'll take the Birds against Jimmy G at home. Assuming that is the case, right? But otherwise, I'd roll with Dallas as your toughest competition right now. And we've seen what the Vikings have done, what they could do. We saw them at home, and I just don't know who else is there. And then, if we had to play the Bills or the Chiefs, and that's who we're worried about, then, that's a good problem to have at that point.
It's a good call.
Worst case scenario for the playoff picture, Eagles get the 1, host San Fran in the divisional round. That's going to be a bloodbath. I don't care what anybody says. Like, those are two teams that play very physical football on both sides in the trenches, like defensively. Like, they both try to beat the hell out of you. Eagles squeak that one in.
Why wouldn't they be 2? Because the NFC East wouldn't.
I'm saying worst case scenario. Worst case scenario.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be tough. But like, you think you might have to go up against a divisional opponent in that round at home.
I would take that. So you say you play the
Dallas
Niners
and Giants both get in.
Yeah. So
Matt refilling.
No, I'm reloading, man.
so say
I love this conversation too much. That was a great call, actually. That I would love for our division to get in there. Like,
that's a best case scenario in my opinion.
That's a great call.
And the Eagles win.
Yep.
That second seed, they may not have a record as good as the Cowboys or the Giants. Maybe a San Fran or, who else are you looking at? The Vikings, maybe.
And the Vikings don't scare me at all. They don't play like a tough enough brand of football to really compete with the big dogs like the Niners, Cowboys. And I'm not saying the Niners are a big dog. It's the Eagles, Cowboys. Those are the big dogs right now. Their D lines are way too good. Their secondaries are playing way too well right now, and their offenses are able to score. And then it's the Niners to me. Worst case scenario is Birds play the Niners and then have Cowboys for the NFC title game. Do you talk about like bloodbath football? But at the same time, I can see the NFL rigging it. Get Eagles, Cowboys, Bills, Chiefs. Because I know these Thursday night football ratings are trash.
Yep.
You have an undefeated football team that nobody's even going to watch because they have the Phillies playing in the World Series to compete with that. It's a nightmare situation for the NFL.
Well, you mentioned the secondary, Mike. I mean, I think, growing up watching this team, I think we've seen our fair share of tandems that we could talk about and, our favorite, with guys, favorite memories with certain guys. But the way that these cornerbacks are playing right now, I mean, they're the best in the NFL right now. Like, just by a whole bunch of metrics. Like, they are playing the best. And I know scoring is down, like, kind of generally overall in the league, and their touchdowns, whatever. But I don't know. Right now, the Eagles are the number one reason why. They're cornerbacks, Darius Slay and Bradbury. So I don't know. I can't remember seeing like, a shutdown duo like this, really at this level, excelling at that level within the league. So, I think they're a huge part of what's happening on defense. And now with the addition of Quinn, I'm really hoping that pass rush even gets bolstered even more. Looking for that tonight too. I know I'm here to defend Davis Mills, but it's obviously with on that defensive side of the ball, it starts with getting after him, getting after Corp, making him as uncomfortable as possible.
He's going to be shook.
Step up, right?
Yeah.
They have a toolbox there in that front seven. So it's like, someone's going, and they got a rotation. They're deep now. If that added depth, for us, yeah. So that's what I'm looking. I feel like I come on here almost before every Birds game, Sam, looking for pass rush to step up, and they've done a great job. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking to see them get it going against Mills and that offense.
You're gonna see a Sam Riddick sack, maybe even a BG sack. When the Birds make you one dimensional with how good that defense is, and when you're in a situation that they know what you're gonna do, you're done. You're not even talking about the best duo. You're talking about the best corner and the second best corner graded in the NFL right now. We've never had that as Eagles fans in our lives. We've had really good duos, but not the number one corner in the NFL and then the number 2 corner in the NFL. That's craziness. And Bradbury's going to get a crazy contract after this year, rightfully so.
Yep.
But
reminds me of the Lito Shepherd and the
Sheldon Brown.
Sheldon Brown. It reminds me of that.
That's who I was.
It'll get you there. It'll get you to the big dance. But can they show up big time, big game?
I want to see Bradbury taking Reggie Bush's head off in New Orleans. How are you doing? Fuck it.
Oh man.
Yeah, quick predictions. Final scores. Philly Stros. Go.
Start it up, Rob.
I'm going money line on the Phillies tonight, so expect that on our card. And score wise, give me. I like Matt's over, so give me 6-3 Phils.
Love it.
I like that. I was literally thinking 6-3, 6-4 in my head. And you said that.
All right, here we go.
I don't want to double down on that, so I'm going to go with like a 6-5.
Okay.
Yeah, 6-5. I think it's tight.
I'm annoyed that Rob did that and then you did that because I'm thinking that there's finally going to be a game where the bottom of the 9th matters. I'm thinking we might have a tie
in the
ball
series.
game
Yeah.
Like we need to see 9 full innings. It's
Yeah.
a tie ball game. I think it's going to be tied in the 9th, whether it be 4-4, 5-5. Phillies pull away. That's what we need to see, and I want to see more earthquake activity out of the bank tonight. Final score in Houston. What do we think?
Okay, Matt, you take that one first.
This is like going to the fair, hoping you win like something out of the, hoping you get a funnel cake with enough powdered sugar on it. It's hard to predict this one. I think it's low scoring. I'm going to go with like a 23-24 to like a 17. Like I think it's tight. Late, I don't think it really matters. It's like a last drive. They bring it from 15 points to 8 or something like that. I'd say 24, 27. I'd say 24 to 8, 7, 16. They try and go for 2 to make it interesting.
I like that.
Go ahead, Mike. What's your prediction?
I got 17-10.
Ooh.
Ugly football. 17-10. People are going to be talking about it tomorrow. Eagles offense looks shaky, yada, 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 but the Eagles defense quietly holds it down. 17-10. I'm not even mad at maybe 3-4 field goal attempts from the Eagles. Points will win this game, whether it be touchdowns or field goals. It doesn't matter. 17-10.
I wouldn't like to see him going 4th down at like the 15. Like I would hate to see that.
You know, 3 in this one.
Yeah, just take your points. Get back in the huddle. Hope your D stops them. And I'm with you. I know you got the kicker, Mike. We just talked about that. So you're a little biased on that, but I do see a lot of field goals. I see a lot of penalties on the Birds. You heard it here first. A lot of holdings on punts. A lot of holdings on kickoffs. A lot of that stuff to just bring them back a couple of yards to keep it low.
I think the Birds run game opens this one up late. So we're going to sweat the spread for a while, but then we're going to wind up we're going to sweat the spread and the total, but we're going to wind up 31-13 Birds.
Perfect, bro. Love that.
Get it under the 45.5. You get the cover. We're good.
I like that energy. I
Love
like that energy.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot of defensive pass interferences in this one, just to keep the ratings up, keep the people involved. I think the refs are going to stay involved to keep
keep the game longer.
Yeah,
and just
nobody
to keep people
watching
from
longer.
flipping back and forth, because we talked about this, the low times in between, and nobody wants to deal with that. So they need to make it exciting.
It's a 2 TV night regardless. I mean, if you worry about your stream
Amen.
of one, and again, it's come on. For most, it's
I could see the Birds up to. I could see them up 3 touchdowns or like 18 points, and like a pass interference brings them down with like 30 seconds left. Touchdown.
with the backups in.
Yeah.
Well,
Touchdown.
with,
Boom. They win
Gardner in
back.
there. Gardner
Yeah.
can't get the offense going late in the fourth. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
21.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely some slot points. Boys, I had a blast. I think we're gonna have a great night. Let's enjoy ourselves a little
one.
bit. Go everything Philadelphia. Most historic city in the country. God bless America. Go Phillies. Go Birds.
Go
Go
Birds.
Birds.
Good Phils.